Have you ever just opened up your social media, started scrolling, and suddenly had this sinking, almost paralyzing thought of like, everyone is succeeding except me?
Oh, absolutely. It's so common.
Right. You see the promotions, the new houses, the graduation photos.
The highlight reels.
Exactly, the highlight reels. And suddenly your own daily efforts just feel, well, totally inadequate.
Yeah, it really hits you hard.
It does. And today we're doing a deep dive into the hidden mechanics of that exact psychological trap. We actually have a really fascinating case study to pull from today.
We do. It's from the Easy English podcast, right?
Yeah, a narrative from them titled, "Do You Feel Left Behind?" And it tells the story of this 30-year-old guy named Noah.
Which is such a relatable age to hit that wall. I mean, 30 is when those comparisons really start to amplify.
Oh, for sure. So our mission for this deep dive is to deconstruct Noah's journey. Not just, as a nice story, but as a literal blueprint.
Right, because we want to extract the precise cognitive shifts he makes.
Exactly. The behavioral strategies you need to break free from that comparison trap and build, sustainable growth.
Because that feeling of falling behind, it's not just a fleeting emotion.
No, it sticks with you.
It does. It's a highly disruptive cognitive state. When you're constantly bombarded with the end results of other people's invisible labor, it literally rewires your motivation.
Wow. Rewires it.
Yeah, you stop evaluating your own progress, and you start evaluating your relative position against this impossible aggregated standard.
Okay, let's unpack this because we need to establish our baseline with Noah first.
Sure, lay it out.
So he's 30, he's working full-time, and he's highly ambitious. He wants to, travel, unlock new career opportunities, meet new people.
So he's got goals.
Big goals. So he spends his evenings studying a new language. He's studying English. He has the intrinsic motivation. He's putting in the work.
Until the scroll happens.
Right. The dreaded evening scroll. He gets on his phone before bed and just gets hit with an absolute avalanche of external milestones from his peers.
Just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. A friend's promotion, someone bought a beautiful new house, a successful online business launch, a trip to Europe.
A university graduation. It's heavy.
It's so heavy. And we all know social media is a highlight reel. We don't need to rehash that.
Yeah, that's old news.
But what we really need to look at is the behavioral disruptor here. It's like you're sitting in a dark room trying to edit your own really messy, behind-the-scenes movie footage, right? And meanwhile, you are forced to watch everyone else's perfectly polished blockbuster movie trailers.
That is a brilliant analogy.
Thanks. Of course you're going to feel terrible about your footage. And that's what happens to Noah. He genuinely feels happy for them, but privately, he starts doubting himself.
He starts thinking, maybe I'm falling behind.
Exactly. Maybe I started too late.
What's fascinating here is the immediate neurological consequence of that specific thought.
Wait, there's a neurological consequence?
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just Noah feeling a little, melancholic before bed. This comparison actively halts his physical progress.
How so?
Well, when he tells himself he is quote-unquote behind, his brain essentially registers a failure state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And dopamine, which is the neurochemical driver of our motivation, of our forward action, it just completely crashes.
So the tank is empty.
Precisely. The doubt steals his confidence. And without that chemical drive, his motivation plummets. He skips his reading. He stops practicing his speaking.
He's self-sabotaging.
Exactly. He is actively self-sabotaging, and he is entirely unaware that he's even doing it.
It makes me think of, do you play racing video games?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So when you do a time trial and the game projects that translucent ghost car on the track?
Oh, yeah, the one that represents the fastest lap time.
Right. So scrolling social media is basically like trying to drive your own messy, totally unpredictable race while you're constantly comparing your speed to this algorithmically generated ghost car.
That represents the combined highlights of 500 different people.
Exactly. It's flawless. Of course you're going to hit the brakes. You're paralyzed by the perception of an unwinnable race. So Noah just walks off the track.
That ghost car analogy perfectly captures the mechanism at play because he's reacting to an illusion, right?
Right.
He's letting the perception of other people's speed convince him to abandon his own vehicle.
But then we hit this massive paradigm shift.
Thankfully.
Yeah. So Noah takes a physical break from his routine. It's a rainy Saturday. He decides to go to a bookstore, which, by the way, gets him away from the physical environment of his wood, triggers his phone, his bed.
Very smart move.
Yeah. And he picks up this book called The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest.
Oh, that's a great book.
It is. And he reads this core premise that our biggest obstacles are often rooted in self-sabotage, that they're driven by fear and doubt and comparison, not an actual lack of capability. But I actually have to push back here a little bit.
Okay, go for it.
Isn't self-sabotage sometimes just a convenient pseudo-psychological excuse for plain old laziness?
Oh, I see where you're going.
Like, is it really that deep, or did the guy just lose his discipline because it got hard?
It is absolutely that deep. And framing it as mere laziness fundamentally misunderstands human behavior.
Really? How so?
Well, laziness is an apathy toward the outcome. You just don't care.
Okay. True.
But self-sabotage is actually an aggressive protection mechanism. Noah isn't apathetic. He cares deeply about learning English.
Right. He was studying every night.
Exactly. But his brain has calculated that trying and failing at 30 feels vastly more painful than simply declaring, oh, I started too late.
Ah, so it's a defense.
Yes. The self-sabotage protects his ego from the vulnerability of being a beginner.
Yeah.
He isn't failing because he lacks the intellectual capacity.
He's failing because his internal narrative got corrupted by the ghost car.
Nailed it.
Wow. So sitting in that bookstore, Noah closes the book and he asks himself a question that just completely upends that corrupted narrative.
What does he ask?
He says, what if I'm not behind? What if I'm simply spending too much time watching other people's journeys instead of living my own?
Oh, that gives me chills. Because by asking that, Noah completely regains his agency.
Right. He takes the steering wheel back.
Up to that exact second, he had accepted his quote-unquote lateness as an empirical metric, like gravity.
Like it was just a fact of physics.
Exactly. But by questioning that base assumption that there is some invisible universal schedule he's violating, he shifts from being a passive victim of circumstance to an active participant in his own life.
A mindset shift like that is just a beautiful thing.
It really is.
But, I mean, a mindset shift is just a theory until Monday morning rolls around.
Right. Reality hits.
Yeah. When you sit back down at your laptop, you still feel that exact same friction. You still get that overwhelming urge to just quit because the mountain looks too steep.
Of course.
So how does he actually implement this without getting immediately overwhelmed again?
Well, he finds the mechanical bridge between theory and practice in another book, Atomic Habits, by James Clear.
Ah, classic.
A total classic. And he zeroes in on one specific methodology from it. Small improvements, repeated every day, create extraordinary results.
Okay.
So he abandons the massive, intimidating goals. Instead, he sets up a highly realistic routine of micro habits.
Like what?
Really small things.
Yeah.
20 minutes of English, reading 10 pages of a book, 30 minutes of exercise.
Okay, that sounds manageable.
Right. Writing down 3 things he's grateful for.
Yeah.
And reducing his social media time.
See, let me stop you right there, though, because I can practically hear our listeners rolling their eyes right now, and honestly, I am too a little bit.
Uh-oh. Why?
Well, let's look at the English application here. I read the source material. He limits his vocabulary intake to 5 words a day. 5 words.
Yes, 5 words, using a book called English Vocabulary in Use.
If you're a 30-year-old professional trying to advance your career and unlock global travel, learning 5 words a day feels agonizingly, painfully slow.
It sounds like a snail's pace, I know.
It really does. Wouldn't that take literal decades to reach fluency? How does he justify moving that slowly? It honestly sounds like he's just settling for mediocrity to avoid the stress of hard work.
It sounds completely counterintuitive, I'll grant you that. But the neuroscience of learning actually completely validates his approach.
Wait, really? The neuroscience?
Yes. Think about it. If you try to cram 50 abstract words into your brain in one sitting, you are relying entirely on short-term working memory.
Okay.
It's the cognitive equivalent of dumping thousands of unorganized files into a massive deep archive hard drive.
Oh, I hate when my desktop looks like that.
Right. You might technically store those files, but you can't retrieve them when you actually need them in a live conversation. The recall pathways just aren't there.
So how does learning fewer words fix the retrieval problem?
Because of how he processes those 5 specific words. He doesn't just read a list, he forces emotional resonance.
What does that mean?
He takes his 5 words and creates deeply personal, emotionally relevant sentences for each single one.
Give me an example.
So if the word is progress, he doesn't just write a generic sentence. He writes, I am making progress every day.
Oh, okay.
If the word is patient, he writes, I need to be patient with myself.
Ah, okay. So going back to the computer analogy, he isn't just dumping files into deep storage.
Yep.
He's taking a few highly critical files, putting them right on his desktop and like pinning them to his taskbar.
Yes.
He's building immediate high-speed access because the data is actually relevant to his daily operating system.
Exactly. The human brain ruthlessly discards abstract, irrelevant information. It just throws it out.
That explains my high school French.
Exactly. But when you attach emotional resonance and personal utility to a piece of data, it sticks. It moves from passive recognition to active recall.
That makes so much sense.
And he does the exact same thing with his reading. He reads a book called Short Stories in English for Beginners. But the critical step is that he closes the book and he retells the story out loud to himself, actively accepting his broken, imperfect vocabulary.
Which, by the way, is terrifying for a perfectionist.
Oh, it is agonizing. But speaking aloud, even terribly, fires completely different motor and neural pathways than reading silently does.
Interesting.
When you are paralyzed by the comparison trap, you demand instant perfection of yourself because you're comparing your day one efforts to someone else's polished, decade-long mastery.
Back to the ghost car.
Exactly. By accepting the stumble and forcing the words out of his mouth anyway, Noah honors the biological reality of how a brain actually acquires a language.
Sustainability and emotional resonance will beat high-intensity rote memorization every single time.
Every single time.
And he pushes that immersion even further, too. He starts listening to the Effortless English podcast while he's just doing chores or walking or cooking.
Integrating it into his daily life.
Right. He starts repeating phrases. And the friction just starts to vanish. He actually shifts his brain from constantly translating his native language into English to just thinking directly in English.
Which is a massive milestone. If we connect this to the bigger picture, that shift from translation to direct thought wasn't just a neat language trick.
What is it then?
It represents a fundamental rewiring of his cognitive baseline. He removed the anxiety, which lowered his affective filter.
What's an affective filter?
It's the psychological wall that blocks learning when we are stressed or anxious. By treating the learning as a sustainable, integrated part of his life, rather than a frantic race to catch up, his brain finally felt safe enough to actually absorb the material.
Okay, so Noah's internal mechanics are running smoothly now. His micro habits are locked in.
He's doing the work.
But, I mean, he doesn't live in a vacuum. He still has to go to work. He still sees his peers launching businesses and traveling on social media.
Sure.
How does he construct a permanent defense against all that external noise?
Well, this brings us to a really pivotal interaction he has with his grandfather.
Oh, I love this part.
It's a Sunday afternoon. They're sitting out in the grandfather's garden. And Noah finally confesses that lingering, toxic thought. He says, I still think everyone is ahead of me.
And the grandfather, he points to the garden. He points to this towering, massive tree and then to a much smaller tree nearby.
Right.
And he asks Noah which one is better, and Noah naturally says, well, they're both beautiful.
And then the grandfather delivers the wisdom. He tells him, the taller tree was simply planted years before the other. The smaller tree isn't failing. It's simply growing according to its own season.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Think about the variables of a tree.
Okay, I'm with you.
You have soil composition, you have the specific amount of sunlight that hits that exact patch of dirt, the water drainage, the specific species of the seed itself.
So many variables.
Right. You would never walk into a forest, point to a tiny oak sapling, and scream at it for being behind schedule compared to a 100-year-old redwood.
That would be absurd.
It defies basic logic. Yet when it comes to human beings, creatures with infinitely more complex variables regarding our upbringing, our neurochemistry, our resources, our traumas, we somehow convince ourselves that we are all supposed to hit the exact same milestones at the exact same age.
We do. We artificially collapse all those diverse human variables into a single, terrifying timeline.
It's madness.
It is. But by internalizing the reality of his own unique variables through that garden metaphor, Noah performs the ultimate cognitive reframe.
What does he do?
He completely deletes the question, am I ahead or behind? He replaces it with, am I improving?
And that is the crux of it, isn't it? Because am I ahead or behind is an external metric.
Right.
It requires you to constantly survey the landscape, look at the ghost cars, and judge your speed against factors you have zero control over.
While am I improving is a purely internal metric.
It requires an audience of one.
Exactly. And that internal metric allows the dopamine system to function correctly again.
Because he's actually winning his own race now.
Exactly. Now, finishing a short story is a neurochemical whim. Learning those 5 personal words is a win. He can actually celebrate his own steps because he's no longer diluting his victories by comparing them to someone else's finish line.
So what does this all mean practically when you take that internal metric and throw it back into a social setting?
Oh, that's the real test.
Because meditating in a garden with your grandfather is easy. Maintaining that zen when you are surrounded by your peers is the real challenge.
And we actually get to see exactly how that plays out.
How so?
A few months later, Noah joins an online English conversation club.
Okay.
And it is a highly mixed environment. Some people are completely fluent. Others are absolute beginners struggling to even form a basic sentence.
Which, let's be honest, a year ago would have been his absolute worst nightmare.
Oh, 100%.
He would have logged into that chat, heard a fluent speaker, immediately triggered his "I'm behind" failure state, and probably never logged back in.
Precisely. It would have been a trigger-rich environment for his self-sabotage. But because he has fully adopted that internal metric of, am I improving, the external threat is just neutralized.
Wow.
When he hears a fluent speaker now, he doesn't see a ghost car he has to beat. He just sees a tree that was planted earlier.
And this totally changes how he treats the people around him, too.
How so?
Well, he listens to the fluent speakers to learn, but he also actively encourages the beginners. When someone stumbles over a word and nobody laughs or judges, they just smile and keep the conversation moving.
That's a great environment.
Yeah, he realizes that everyone in that room is dealing with their own friction.
You know, this raises an important question about the nature of judgment itself. We often judge others harshly because we are actually projecting our own brutal internal standards outward.
Oh, that's so true.
When Noah removed the intense, hypercritical judgment of his own timeline, he naturally stopped judging everyone else's.
By giving himself permission to be a work in progress, he created a psychological environment where everyone else was allowed to be a work in progress, too.
Beautifully said. And the ultimate proof of this entire shift is in his journaling.
Oh, right, the one-year check-in.
Yes. Fast forward a full year from when he started his microhabits. He opens his journal and reads his entry from day 1. It says, I think everyone is ahead of me.
And how does he react?
He just smiles at it. Then he writes the entry for today. Today I had a 30-minute conversation in English. Today I finished another book. Today I feel grateful for my progress.
That is incredible.
What is vital to note here is what the source material does not say.
What do you mean?
It doesn't say Noah magically became a billionaire. It doesn't say he traveled to 50 countries or achieved every single ambition he ever had overnight.
Right, he didn't suddenly win the lottery of life.
Exactly. His life is still a messy, ongoing process. The difference is solely in the metric of measurement. He has successfully insulated his self-worth from external highlight reels.
He became his own benchmark. The only person he needs to outpace is the Noah from yesterday.
Exactly.
Because life is not a race. There is no universal timeline. Whether you achieve a major breakthrough at 25, or switch careers entirely at 45, or discover your true passion at 60, the mechanics of growth remain exactly the same.
Your journey belongs entirely to you. It's governed by your own unique variables and your own daily actions.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to echo the challenge from today's case study and ask you directly as you listen to this, who is your ghost car?
That's a great question.
Who is that person on your feed or in your office or maybe even in your own family whose highlight reel constantly makes you feel like you are failing?
We all have one.
We do. And what would happen if, starting today, you completely deleted the concept of behind from your vocabulary? What if you just focused on your own 5 words, your own 20 minutes, your own daily progress?
Because you are not behind. You are not too late. You're exactly where your current season requires you to be.
But I want to leave you with one final, maybe slightly more provocative thought to chew on before we go.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've talked a lot about ignoring other people's highlight reels and focusing on your own tree, right?
Right.
But if external comparison is the primary behavioral disruptor that breaks our motivation, could we reverse engineer it?
What do you mean?
What if the ultimate life hack isn't just trying to block out other people's success, but actively, aggressively curating your inputs so you only see the messy, failing, behind-the-scenes reality of your heroes?
Oh, wow.
Because maybe the real problem isn't that human beings are wired to compare ourselves to others. Maybe the tragedy is that we are constantly comparing our actual physical reality to digital ghosts that don't even exist.
That is a profound thought.
Think about that the next time you feel the urge to scroll. Curate your reality. Keep taking those incredibly small steps and keep watering your own garden. Until next time.